There are places on this planet where the map serves not as a guide, but as a final warning. Along the edges of towering mountain passes, where tight hairpin turns cling to sheer cliffs, narrow lanes allow just enough space for a single vehicle, leaving almost no room to correct a mistake. In some regions, the road is a sheet of black ice waiting to spin you into the void. In others, it disappears beneath scorching desert sand or a dense fog that swallows visibility into a blank field of absolute risk. This is a journey across the world's most dangerous roads, where every turn of the wheel becomes a true test of skill, courage, and the primal will to survive. We explore the false security of breathtaking vistas and the harrowing driver's point of view of life or death decisions. Fasten your seatbelt. The journey ahead offers no second chances, only the raw edge of existence. Black Bear Pass, USA. The town of Telluride sits nestled in a glacial box canyon, a picturesque vision of colorful Victorian homes and high-end ski resorts. From the summit of the surrounding peaks, the valley looks like a peaceful sanctuary, a place where the sun warms the golden aspen leaves and the air carries the scent of pine and adventure. You sit in your modern 4x4, surrounded by leather trim and high-tech off-road assists. The trail ahead looks like a gateway to the most beautiful vista in Colorado. This is the false security of the San Juan Mountains. But as you cross the threshold of the summit, the pavement of civilization is a distant memory. The road becomes a treacherous ribbon of unstable shale and jagged rock. Behind the wheel, your POV shifts from sightseeing to survival. You enter the notorious steps, a series of rock ledges where the trail narrows to a width barely larger than your vehicle. To your left is a vertical wall of stone. To your right, a sheer drop into nothingness. Your vehicle tilts at an agonizing 2.5-degree angle toward the abyss. You feel the pull of gravity in your chest, a physical weight trying to drag 2 tons of metal over the edge. Every crack of a rock under your downhill tire sends a jolt of adrenaline through your spine. You reach the 365-foot waterfall section, where freezing water sprays directly onto the rocks, coating them in a layer of moss as slippery as ice. Your hands are cramped, gripping the steering wheel so hard your knuckles are white. You remember the 2020 tragedy of the Jeep that lost its brakes here, a mechanical failure that resulted in a death sentence. There is no room for error, no guardrails, and no second chances. You are navigating a graveyard of the arrogant, where the line between a legendary drive and a fatal plunge is measured in inches. The sound of the waterfall is no longer a peaceful melody. It is a roar of warning that nature does not care for your technology or your ambition. Every inch of forward progress is a hard-won victory against the laws of physics and the fragility of the mountain's edge. Sani Pass, South Africa. The Drakensberg Mountains, or the Mountains of the Dragons, rise with a majestic green velvet texture that seems to touch the clouds. Sani Pass appears as a winding thread, a romantic gateway connecting the lush plains of South Africa with the sky-high kingdom of Lesotho. The vision of a cold beer at the highest pub in Africa, situated at 9,436 feet, acts as a siren song for every adventurer. This is the false security of the Dragon's Tail. The experience inside the cabin is an assault on the laws of physics. In the final 6 miles, the road stops being a path and starts being a vertical wall of loose rock. Your engine gasps for air as the oxygen levels plummet, its roar turning into a desperate whine. The gradient hits a brutal 1-to-3 ratio. You are staring through the windshield at nothing but the sky, the hood of your car blocking any view of the track ahead. Every time you hit a Z-shaped hairpin turn, you have to swing the nose out over the abyss to make the radius. There are no guardrails, only a crumbling edge of gravel. Your tires spin, fighting for traction on the shifting stones, sending debris cascading down hundreds of feet into the valley below. The psychological pressure is immense. You feel the vertigo pulling at your eyes. When you finally reach the summit, your heart is hammering against your ribs. You enter the pub, but the altitude means the alcohol hits your bloodstream twice the normal force. You aren't just tired. You are physically and mentally drained from a climb that felt like a sow-dumb fight against the gravity of the planet itself. The thin air makes every movement sluggish, and as you look back down at the path you've conquered, the vertical drop seems impossible to have survived. This is a place where the mountain tests the metal of your machine and the steel of your nerves in equal measure. Trollstigen, Norway, surrounded by the towering granite peaks of the king, the queen, and the bishop. Trollstigen is a triumph of Scandinavian engineering. It is a sleek, gray ribbon of asphalt that zigzags up a lush mountainside, accompanied by the dramatic white spray of the Stigfossen waterfall. It looks like a high-speed set for a luxury car commercial, a place of power, precision, and breathtaking beauty. This is the false security of the ladder of the giants. For the driver, the beauty is a mask for a geological battlefield. Every year, tons of rock fall from the 3,000-foot cliffs, a silent threat that can strike at any second. As you navigate the 11 hair-raising bends, the Stigfossen waterfall plunging 1,500 feet creates a permanent veil of mist. This isn't just rain. It is a pressurized spray that turns the road surface into a sheet of grease. Your POV is a blur of gray stone and white water. You have to thread the needle between a vertical rock face and a low stone wall that offers more psychological comfort than actual protection. Looking down, the river at the valley floor winds like a turquoise snake, but you cannot afford to look. At the summit, the cliff drops 3,280 feet straight down, a favorite spot for base jumpers who leap into the void. You feel the moisture on your palms and the vibration of the road as the sheer volume of falling water shakes the mountain. This is not a drive. It is a tense negotiation with the elements in a land where legends say trolls turn to stone at sunrise. The sheer geometry of the turns forces your hands into a frantic dance of steering, while the roar of the water drowns out the sound of your own heartbeat. Ma Pi Leng Pass, Vietnam. From a distance, the No K River is a ribbon of emerald silk resting at the bottom of the Tu San Canyon. The Ma Pi Leng Pass is a panoramic masterpiece of limestone peaks and swirling clouds, a place where the grandeur of northern Vietnam reaches its zenith. It looks like a sanctuary of peace, a scenic bypass through the heavens. This is the false security of the happiness road. The reality behind the handlebars or the wheel is a jagged, vertical desert. The name Ma Pi Leng means horse nose, a warning that the slope is so steep it exhausts the breath of the strongest animals. You are driving on a narrow shelf carved into cat ear limestone rocks that are as sharp as razors. The canyon below is a 3,000-foot fracture in the Earth's crust, the deepest in Southeast Asia. Because the canyon is so narrow, the wind is compressed and forced upward, hitting your vehicle with sudden, violent gusts that try to push you toward the unfenced edge. There is no shoulder, no runoff, and no room for a single steering error. The Emerald River below looks beautiful, but from this height, it looks like a cold, distant dream. You are perched on a geological scar, navigating a path where the limestone spikes point at the sky like frozen spears, and the only thing between you and a 3,000-foot fall is a few feet of crumbling asphalt and your own steady hand. The thousands of tons of rock moved by hand to build this pass remain a testament to human will. But the void below remains the ultimate master of this landscape. Rohtang Pass, India. During the height of summer, Rohtang Pass is a hive of activity. Thousands of tourists flock here to see the snow, and the road is lined with colorful stalls and bright mountain flowers. It looks like a festive gateway to the high Himalayas, a place of celebration and breathtaking alpine views. This is the false security of the Mountain of Joy. The name Rohtang actually means pile of corpses. Behind the wheel, the festive atmosphere vanishes, replaced by a brutal struggle for survival. At 13,000 feet, the oxygen level is only 60% of what it is at sea level. You feel a dull throb in your temples, the first sign of altitude sickness. The road is a chaotic mess of mud, slush, and melting ice. Because the pass is only open for a few months, it suffers from a permanent traffic jam. Thousands of diesel trucks and cars sit bumper to bumper for 5 hours or more, spewing thick black smoke that you are forced to inhale in the thin air. This smoke accelerates the melting of the glaciers around you, creating unpredictable mudslides. Your POV is a nightmare of narrow margins. You move at a crawl, inches away from the rusted wrecks of trucks that fell decades ago and still lie in the abyss as a silent warning. There are no guardrails, only the constant fear that the mud beneath your tires will lose its grip, turning your journey into the next entry in the pass's grim history. The stench of diesel exhaust and the biting cold of the melting ice create a sensory overload that makes every minute feel like an hour. Cotopaxi, Volcano Road, Ecuador. The Andes Mountains in Ecuador offer a landscape of surreal, conical volcanoes and high-altitude Paramo grasslands. The road to Cotopaxi winds through deep red volcanic soil and past massive blocks of frozen lava that look like natural sculptures. It is a stunning, high-altitude playground for photographers and mountain bikers. This is the false security of the Avenue of the Volcanoes. You are driving on the unstable ring of fire. The conical giant looming over you at 15,092 feet is an active volcano, and the road is a path through its potential path of destruction. The earth here trembles with minor daily earthquakes that you can feel through the steering column of your car. The blocks of lava at the roadside are not just scenery, they are bombs from previous eruptions, weighing several tons each. The real drama begins on the descent. If you choose the downhill cycling service, You are rushing at 43 miles per hour through thick fog and over loose, volcanic gravel. Your POV is a high-speed blur of red dust and gray mist. The brakes on your bike hiss as they overheat, and the lack of oxygen makes every reflex slower. Below you, the Limpopongo Lake acts as a mirror for the volcano, but you are too busy trying to keep your tires from sliding on the lahar, deposits the remnants of mud flows that have buried this road many times before. It is a profound reminder of how small a human life is compared to the geological furnace burning beneath your wheels. The ash-covered landscape feels like another planet, where the air is thick with the history of fire and the constant threat of a new awakening. Combe Laval, France. The Versailles mountain range in France is a fortress of limestone, and the Combe Laval Road is its most artistic balcony. The road is carved directly into the side of a cliff, featuring semi-open tunnels and stone arches that frame the valley 2,000 feet below. It looks like a romantic, historical drive through the heart of the French Alps. This is the false security of the balcony road. Behind the wheel, the romance evaporates into pure vertigo. The road was built between 1861 and 1898, chiseled by hand into the rock for the timber trade. It is barely wide enough for one car. As a driver, your POV is a terrifying paradox. To your left is a solid wall of granite, and to your right is nothing. You are at eye level with birds of prey that glide on the thermal columns rising from the valley floor. There is no real guardrail, only a low stone curb that wouldn't stop a bicycle, let alone a car. For the passenger, the experience is even worse. They look out the window and see 2,000 feet of empty air. The road curves inward, creating rock windows that flicker with light and shadow, disorienting your vision. This was a sanctuary for the French resistance during World War II because of its sheer inaccessibility. Today, it remains a test of nerves, where you feel like you are flying a car rather than driving one, suspended between the earth and the sky. The historical weight of the road, combined with the extreme exposure, creates a sense of floating in a space where gravity is the only law. Khardung La, India. The gateway to the Nubra Valley, Khardung La, is proudly hailed as the roof of the motoring world at a posted altitude of 18,380 feet. The mountains are a stark, beautiful desert of brown rock and white snow. Thousands of colorful prayer flags flutter in the wind, creating a sense of spiritual peace and high-altitude triumph. This is the false security of the top of the world. At 18,380 feet, the human body is at its limit. The oxygen is so thin that the air feels empty when you breathe. A brutal geographical paradox exists here. Everything is covered in snow, but the air is as dry as the Sahara. Your skin cracks, your lips bleed, and your head pounds with a relentless pressure. From the driver's point of view, the road is a series of frozen ruts and melting slush perched on the edge of a cliff. You are forbidden from stopping for more than 20 minutes because of the risk of high-altitude cerebral edema, fatal brain swelling. This is a military artery, kept open year-round so the Indian Army can supply the Siachen Glacier, the world's highest battlefield. The cold here kills more soldiers than bullets ever could. You navigate around massive military trucks in a space where one slip on the ice means a fall from which no one returns. The prayer flags aren't just decorations. They are a desperate plea for protection in a land where the air itself is an enemy. The monotonous white landscape can trigger snow blindness within minutes, making every dark patch of rock on the road a potential trap for your wheels. Vansel's Pass, Namibia. Namibia is a land of ancient, burning beauty. The Marienfluss Valley glows with brick-red sands and deep purple mountains. Van Zyls Pass is the legendary Holy Grail for off-roaders, a path that promises the ultimate connection with the wild heart of Africa. It looks like a scene from a primitive epic, raw and magnificent. This is the false security of the Kunene wilderness. Death on this pass takes the form of razor-sharp sedimentary rock. These are not normal stones. They are jagged blades ready to slice through heavy-duty tires like they are made of paper. The road was built in the 1960s using nothing but hand tools and dynamite, and it shows. There is no flat surface. Your vehicle bounces and lurches over boulders the size of armchairs. In the summer, the rock surface heats up to 158 degrees Fahrenheit. This heat increases the pressure inside your tires, turning them into ticking time bombs. If a tire blows on these steep, narrow ledges, your vehicle will roll. The POV from the driver's seat is a chaotic struggle to find a line through the rocks, while the sun beats down with a ferocity that can cause heat stroke in minutes. You pass twisted trees that look like dry skeletons, and you realize that if you break down here, you are days away from the nearest help. It is a place that demands total respect, where the silence of the desert is the silence of a predator waiting for you to make a mistake. The vastness of the landscape makes your vehicle feel like a toy, fragile and insignificant against the ancient, sun-baked terrain. Gotthard Pass, Switzerland. The Swiss Alps are the definition of order and beauty. The Gotthard Pass features an ancient stone-paved road that winds through the granite peaks like a gray ribbon thrown down the mountainside. It looks like a peaceful, historical journey through the heart of Europe's most neutral nation. This is the false security of the granite fortress. The mountain is a hollow shell. Inside the granite heart of the Gotthard is a massive underground city, capable of housing 20,000 soldiers and hidden artillery. The mountain is carved with hundreds of miles of secret tunnels. For the driver, the experience is a strange collision of eras. You can enter in one 1-mile modern tunnel in a blizzard and emerge into a summer sun on the other side. Or you can take the old Tremolo Road with its stone cobbles. From the driver's POV, the stone cobbles vibrate through the steering wheel, a rhythmic reminder of the path's age. The danger here is the weather and the scale. The three-note horn of the Swiss postal bus echoes through the valleys like a command. When you hear it, you must stop. In this quiet alpine space, the bus has absolute authority. The Gotthard is not just a pass. It is a symbol of national defense, a road that can be sealed or destroyed in an instant to protect the sovereignty of the people above. The precision of Swiss engineering is everywhere, but the sheer verticality of the peaks reminds you that nature still holds the final word. $1 million Highway, USA. The stretch of US 550 between Silverton and Eyre is a visual explosion of color. The mountains glow with deep reds and oranges, a result of iron and sulfur minerals oxidizing in the high-altitude sun. It is a place of legend, named for the gold and silver that allegedly built its foundation. This is the false security of the mineral fever. The deadly charm of this road is everywhere. The beautiful turquoise streams you see in the valley are actually contaminated with toxic acids and heavy metals from the old mines. For the driver, the terror is physical. You are running along the edge of a 1,000-foot abyss with absolutely no guardrails. Why? Because the snowplows need a place to push the massive winter accumulation, and a guardrail would trap the snow on the road. From the driver's POV, your tires are inches away from a vertical drop. You pass rotting mining towers that look like the skeletons of a lost civilization. In the winter, this is one of the most avalanche-prone roads in North America, with over 100 identified paths where thousands of tons of snow can sweep you into the canyon in the blink of an eye. It is a road built on greed and ambition, a path where the treasure of the mountains is guarded by the constant threat of a vertical fall. The absence of a safety barrier creates a psychological void, as if the road itself is tempting you to join the minerals at the bottom of the canyon. Transfagarasan, Romania. The Carpathian Mountains are the home of legends, and the Transfiguration is their most dramatic stage. Carved into the cliffs by military order in 1970, it winds through the mountains like a serpent. At the highest point, Balia Lake sits like a sapphire in a granite bowl. It looks like a masterpiece of European tourism, a road designed for the ultimate driving experience. This is the false security of the Carpathian serpent. The reality is a journey through a dark and stubborn landscape. To build this road, the military used 6,000 tons of explosives to break the granite. For the driver, the drama is visceral. You enter a tunnel nearly 3,000 feet long that is pitch black and dripping with freezing water. When you emerge, you might find yourself face to face with a wild brown bear standing on the asphalt. These bears have lost their fear of humans and wait for cars like uninvited guests. Because of the extreme altitude and snow, the road is only open for about 4 months a year. The rest of the time, it is buried under 2 0-foot snow walls. From the driver's POV, you are constantly fighting the mist created by waterfalls that pour directly onto the road surface. It is a road born of a dictator's paranoia, a military project that remains a haunting, beautiful scar across the heart of Romania. The silence of the peaks is broken only by the hum of your engine and the occasional grunt of a bear, making the journey feel like a foray into an ancient, untamed world. Mana Pass, India. At the edge of the Tibetan border, Mana Pass is the stairway to heaven. At over 18,400 feet, the scenery is a surreal collection of eternal glaciers and hidden lakes. It is a place of profound spiritual significance, where ancient sages once meditated. It looks like the ultimate sanctuary at the end of the world. This is the false security of the sacred summit. The road is a fragile thread of gravel hanging over an abyss. It is sandwiched between vertical shale cliffs that look like giant knives piercing the sky. For the driver, every breath is a struggle. The engine of your vehicle loses nearly half its power in the thin air, and you must maintain a constant, slow crawl over shifting stones. A fascinating paradox exists here. You are at the roof of the world, but the cliffs are filled with marine fossils, proof that this land was once the bottom of a prehistoric ocean. From the driver's POV, you are navigating through a landscape that feels alien. The silence is absolute, broken only by the thin whistling of the wind and the crunch of gravel. You are at the final intersection between earthly reality and the eternal realm, a place where the lack of oxygen and the immense height create a feeling of detachment from the world below. The history of the earth is written in the stones around you, while the future feels uncertain in the thin, freezing air. North Coast Road. Mauritius. The Indian Ocean island of Mauritius is a tropical dream. The North Coast Road winds past turquoise lagoons, coral reefs, and tunnels of bright red flamboyant trees. It looks like a paradise drive, a place where the only worry is which beach to visit next. This is the false security of the turquoise paradise. The history of this road is written in shipwrecks and ambushes. In 1810, the British Navy chose this very stretch of coastline to launch a surprise landing, avoiding the main port to ambush the French. Today, the danger is the mobile discos, vibrantly decorated buses that roar along the narrow lanes at high speeds, blasting music and ignoring traffic laws. From the driver's POV, the road is a series of blind curves through dense foliage and small villages. Offshore, the horizon is dominated by a volcanic ruin called Gunner's Quoin, a 500-foot-high rock shaped like a shark's fin. It is a constant reminder of the island's violent volcanic birth. The beauty is intoxicating, but the mix of high-speed buses, narrow roads, and the legacy of naval warfare makes this a drive that requires total focus amidst the palms. The red flamboyant trees form a tunnel of fire that hides the sharp corners and the aggressive local drivers, turning a scenic tour into a frantic obstacle course. Kahekili Highway, USA. Maui's Kahekili Highway is a masterpiece of prehistoric nature. It clings to ancient lava cliffs where the sea salt has eroded the rock into sharp, serrated shapes. After a tropical rain, dozens of waterfalls pour from the mountaintop, creating natural water curtains that frame the road. It looks like a scene from Jurassic Park. This is the false security of Maui. This road is a 10-foot wide ledge with no guardrails and a 1,000-foot drop to the Pacific. It is so narrow that in many places, two cars cannot pass each other. If you meet an oncoming vehicle, one of you must back up for hundreds of yards along a crumbling cliff edge. Near sea level, the danger is even more visceral. Massive waves can crash 30 feet high, spraying salt foam directly onto your windshield and blinding you at the exact moment the road curves. From the driver's point of view, you are squeezed between a vertical rock face and the deep blue void. Wild goats stand on the cliffs above, watching you with indifference as you navigate the hairpins. It is named after the Thunder King of Maui, a warrior with a black tattooed body, and the road's raw, violent energy is a fitting tribute to his legend. The constant spray of salt water and the narrowness of the path make you feel like you are walking a tightrope over the ocean. Tizi and Test, Morocco. The high Atlas Mountains are a magnificent chaos of shale and quartz. The Tizi Test Pass was built in the 1930s using the first large-scale industrial explosive blasts in history. It offers views that stretch from the snow-capped peaks to the heat haze of the Sahara. It looks like a grand, historical gateway to the desert. This is the false security of the Atlas Pass. The road is a narrow shelf suspended at 6,867 feet along a major geological fault. For the driver, the experience is a journey through a climactic collision. You can feel the moisture of the Atlantic air behind you and the scorching heat of the desert in front. The cliffs are unstable, and the road surface is often covered in small rock slides. From the driver's POV, the turns are endless and unprotected. You leave the modern world behind and enter a slow, harsh reality where the mountain seems to be reclaiming the road. The name Test implies a trial, and for the driver, it is a trial of steel nerves against the naked danger of a crumbling cliffside and the unpredictable shifts of the mountain weather. The ancient, slow, and harsh world of the Berber heartland opens up before you as you navigate a path that feels like a fraying thread between two worlds. Col de la Chaussée, France. The shoelaces of the Alps is a geometric miracle. In a distance of just 2.5 miles, humans stacked 17 consecutive hairpin turns up a nearly vertical limestone cliff. It looks like a perfect, artistic sculpture of asphalt, a challenge for the world's greatest cyclists. This is the false security of the Montvernier Lassets. The reality is a dizzying, claustrophobic climb. The road is so steep and the turns so tight that you can never see more than a few yards ahead. Behind the wheel, you are in a constant state of motion, turning, braking, accelerating, and turning again. The cliff face is a 90-degree wall of stone that feels like it is leaning over the car. Your point of view is a rhythmic cycle of stone and sky. The Tour de France only dared to come here in 2015 because of the technical difficulty. Even at a slow speed, the sheer number of turns in such a short distance can cause motion sickness. It is a symbol of human will triumphing over nature. But as a driver, it is a relentless test of your concentration and your ability to navigate a vertical maze. The repeated hairpins create a trance-like state, where the only reality is the next one, 80-degree turn, and the sheer drop just inches from your bumper. Eyre Highway, Australia. The Nullarbor Plain is a vast, open expanse that stretches to the horizon in every direction. The Eyre Highway is a marvel of straight-line engineering, featuring a 9.1-mile stretch with no turns at all. It looks like the easiest drive on the planet, a simple matter of setting the cruise control and enjoying the vast blue Australian sky. This is the false security of the great Australian loneliness. This road is a psychological torture chamber. The monotony is so absolute that it triggers highway hypnosis, a state where your brain begins to manufacture hallucinations to compensate for the lack of visual stimuli. From the driver's POV, the road is a shimmering needle piercing a void. You stare at the same gray asphalt and the same scrubby bushes for hours. Your eyes want to close, and your mind begins to wander into dangerous territory. To your right, just out of sight, are the world's longest sea cliffs, marking where the Australian continent suddenly broke and fell vertically into the cold Southern Ocean millions of years ago. There is no shade, no water, and no help for hundreds of miles. The threat here is not a hairpin turn, but the silence. If you drift for even a second, you will hit the soft sand at high speed, rolling your vehicle into a wreck in a land where the only witnesses are the wedge-tailed eagles circling above. The shimmering heat waves on the horizon create mirages of water that never exist, while the engine's drone becomes a hypnotic chant that pulls you toward a lethal sleep. Moki Dugway, USA. The desert of southern Utah is a cathedral of 300 million year old sandstone. Moki Dugway is a 3-mile stretch of unpaved road that climbs the side of Cedar Mesa, offering views of the Valley of the Gods that seem to stretch into infinity. In the golden light of the afternoon, it looks like a heroic path into the heart of the American West. This is the false security of the high desert vista. But the Moki Dugway is an 11% grade of unpaved white-knuckle terror. Built in the 1950s to transport uranium ore, it was never meant for tourists. As you drive downhill, the driver's POV is a terrifying trick of the mind. The road is so steep that the nose of your car points directly into the deep blue void of the valley floor. It feels like you are about to drive off the edge of the world. There are no guardrails, and the turns are so sharp that trailers over 28 feet are strictly forbidden. The surface is loose gravel and dust, which billows up behind you, obscuring the vision of anyone following. As the sun sets, the giant shadow of the mesa stretches across the valley, turning the brilliant landscape into a dark, cold zone. The contrast between the warm summit and the dark abyss below is a psychological weight, a reminder that this scenic route is a relic of the Cold War, where every hairpin turn was designed for ore trucks, not for the faint of heart. The dust coating your dashboard and the constant rattle of the gravel against your undercarriage serve as a reminder that you are on a path built for industry, not for leisure. Halsema Highway, Philippines. The mountains of Luzon are a lush, green paradise. The Halsema Highway runs through the Cordillera Central, where the hillsides are covered in a giant quilt of colorful vegetable terraces. It looks like a high-altitude garden, a peaceful supply route for the nation's food. This is the false security of the vegetable highway. This road is a silent killer, draped over the unstable faults of the Ring of Fire. The geology is a treacherous mix of loose clay and volcanic soil. When the tropical rains hit, which they do, frequently the cliffs turn into trapdoors. Entire sections of the road can be buried by landslides in a matter of seconds. From the driver's POV, you are often navigating through a fog so thick it swallows the hood of your car. You know the abyss is to your right, but you cannot see it. You only hear the sound of waterfalls hitting the pavement. This highway has the highest accident rate in the country, with dozens of buses having plunged into the depths over the years. You are mesmerized by the beauty of the pine trees, but you must stay alert for the sudden slump in the road surface that indicates a section is about to give way. It is a road of constant motion, where the land itself is trying to slide back into the sea. The vegetable terraces, while beautiful, are a constant reminder of the weight of the soil that could come crashing down at any moment. Luxor-Hurghada Road, Egypt. The road from the ancient temples of Luxor to the Red Sea resorts of Hurghada looks like a simple, modern highway through the desert. The sand is golden and the horizon is wide. It appears to be a fast, easy connection between two of Egypt's greatest treasures. This is the false security of the Red Sea corridor. This is the corridor of death. Far from being a romantic desert, the road cuts through a black, rocky wasteland that looks like the surface of a dead planet. The mountains are jagged, shaped like the teeth of a monster. But the real danger is human. Because of the history of terrorist attacks and bandits, drivers at night often turn off their headlights completely. They race through the darkness at 90 miles per hour, using only the dim light of the moon or the silhouette of the mountains to guide them. From the driver's POV, it is a terrifying game of shadows. You never know when another vehicle will appear out of the blackness like a ghost. Dense military checkpoints with armored vehicles and machine gun nests remind you that this is a high-risk zone. You are not just driving across a desert, you are moving through a landscape of fear where the darkness hides more than just the road. The silence of the desert night is electrified by the tension of the unseen, turning a simple commute into a high-stakes escape. Cat and Fiddle Road, UK. The Peak District of England is a rolling landscape of green valleys and stone walls. The Cat and Fiddle Road reaches an altitude of 1,690 feet, looking like a scenic, quintessentially British drive. It features the highest distillery in the country and views that stretch for 50 miles on a clear day. This is the false security of the English moors. This is the most dangerous road in Britain. The beauty is a trap for motorcycle enthusiasts who treat the continuous hairpin bends like a professional racetrack. Statistics show that over 70% of serious accidents here involve high-capacity bikes. For the driver, the road is a series of blind crests and deceptive slopes of up to 12%. From the driver's point of view, the scenery is sharpened by the thin air, but the danger is the invisible curves where the road suddenly drops away. The thin, gray ribbon of asphalt is often slick with mountain mist, and the high speed of other travelers makes every corner a gamble. It is a symphony of speed and wild beauty, but one that is played out against a background of haunting accident reports. The rolling hills hide the sudden, sharp turns, making it a place where complacency is the most lethal enemy. Changla Pass, India. At 17,585 feet, Changla Pass feels like driving on the roof of the world. Even in the height of summer, you are sandwiched between vertical walls of eternal snow that are 10 feet high. It looks like a mesmerizing white canyon, a high-altitude paradise where the clouds float at eye level. This is the false security of the Himalayan ice canyon. The pass is a lethal trap of temperature and ice. As soon as the sun drops, the temperature hits negative 13 degrees Fahrenheit, which can freeze your engine oil and stall your vehicle in seconds. During the day, the melting snow creates fast-flowing streams across the road surface. These streams can wash a vehicle off the cliff or freeze into solid black ice as soon as the shadow of the mountain hits them. From the driver's POV, you are navigating a narrow, slippery path with no guardrails and a 1,000-foot drop. The lack of oxygen makes every movement exhausting, and the glare from the snow walls can cause instant blindness without protection. It is the mandatory gate to reach the sacred Pangong Lake, but the gate is guarded by the most extreme elements of the high Himalayas. The silence of the ice canyon is broken only by the crunch of tires on frozen slush, a sound that reminds you of the fragility of your presence here. Kabale-Kisoro Road, Uganda. The Switzerland of Africa is a land of deep green forests and volcanic peaks. The Kabale-Kisoro Road winds through the mountains of East Africa, offering views that made Winston Churchill gasp in amazement. It looks like a lush, tropical Eden, a magnificent journey through the heart of the continent. This is the false security of the Kigezi Highlands. This is the least straight route in Africa. You are forced to steer your vehicle every 5 seconds. Thousands of hairpin turns cling to the sides of the mountains, with absolutely no guardrails to prevent a fall into the abyss. The road is shared with motorbikes carrying everything from refrigerators to coffins, weaving through the curves at dizzying speeds. From the driver's POV, you are in a state of constant, frantic motion. The road is often slick with tropical rain, and the drop-offs are vertical. You are surrounded by majestic beauty, but the chaos of the traffic and the relentless nature of the turns make this a drive that is as exhausting as it is spectacular. It is a profound reminder that even in paradise, the road to survival is narrow and never straight. The vibrant green of the forest is a beautiful backdrop to a drive that demands every ounce of your focus. Kolyma Highway. Russia, the Siberian wilderness in winter, is a masterpiece of white. For 1,200 miles, the Kolyma Highway stretches through a landscape of pristine snow, shimmering under a pale sun. It is a world of absolute silence and crystalline beauty, appearing as a smooth, inviting ribbon through the taiga. It feels like a journey into the heart of a winter dream, a path of pure, untouched solitude. This is the false security of the Road of Bones. The reality for the driver is a haunting, sub-zero nightmare. You roll down the window, and the air at -96 degrees Fahrenheit hits you like a physical blow, instantly freezing the moisture in your nostrils and turning your breath into ice crystals. This road isn't built on gravel. It is founded on the skeletons of hundreds of thousands of Gulag prisoners who died during its construction. You are driving on a massive, frozen cemetery. As the sun stays low on the horizon, the drunken forests emerge, trees leaning at impossible angles as the permafrost shifts beneath the roadbed. Your POV is one of constant mechanical anxiety. At these temperatures, steel becomes as brittle as glass, and rubber can shatter. If your engine stalls, you have perhaps 30 minutes before the cold becomes lethal. The road itself is a predator. In the brief summer, the ice turns into a bottomless quagmire of mud that can swallow a heavy truck to its roof. There are no services, no help, and no warmth for hundreds of miles. You are a ghost moving through a land of ghosts, where the silence is not peaceful, but a warning that the earth here is hungry for more than just memories. The sheer isolation is a psychological weight that sits heavy on your chest as the needle on your temperature gauge drops further into the blue than you ever thought possible. You are navigating through a geography of despair, where the very ground you drive upon is a monument to a tragic past that refuses to stay buried. Whether it is the shifting granite of the Swiss Alps, the oxygen-deprived peaks of the Himalayas, or the sun-scorched rocks of Namibia, these roads provide a profound reminder of human smallness. We often speak of conquering nature, but in these extreme landscapes, we realize that we are merely guests, granted passage by the grace of gravity and the strength of our own nerves. Each mile of asphalt or ice is a testament to human ambition, built by hand and blood, yet it remains forever vulnerable to the whims of the earth. As the dust settles and the engines cool, the lessons of these treacherous paths linger. Respect the ledge, fear the void, and never trust the beauty of the horizon too much. The road eventually ends, but the memory of the abyss remains. For on Nung paths, the distance between a legendary journey and a final descent is only an inch.